Town Left Behind, and we're here today with Larry Kurtz from the Orange County Fire Authority. Thank you for having us, Larry.
Thank you for having me on board.
Tell us what you do here.
Well, I am the Public Information Officer for the Orange County Fire Authority. I deal with all the media for Orange County Fire Authority when it comes to social media, when it comes to television, news cameras. I'm out in the field. I'm the person, if you have any kind of structure fires, any kind of disasters, I'm usually on point giving information out to the public.
Today, we're going to be talking about how to prepare yourself for evacuations. Very important topic, right?
Absolutely. Disasters are something that a lot of people don't really think about. People don't really consider disasters until it's too late. A great example of this are California earthquakes. It's not, are we going to have an earthquake? We are going to have a major earthquake. It is an absolute 100%, likability. It's going to happen. But people don't really think about it until after it's too late. To be prepared before that disaster happens, it's going to put you so far ahead of the game that your recovery is going to be faster, your ability to manage it is going to be a lot better, and psychologically you're going to come out of it much better than before.
It's interesting that you say that, because I started No Town Left Behind to help prepare people for disasters. I too was in a really crazy disaster in 2003 in a bad wildfire.
Right.
Do you remember that one? It was a cedar fire.
Yes, I do remember the cedar fire.
Oh my goodness. Well, I was awoken at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I went to my bedroom window and I looked out, and it was fire as far as the eye could see. And I called 911, which is what,
Yeah.
help me!
Fire!
Fire! And here's what she said. She said, get your pets, get your children, and get out. The entire county's on fire. Mm-hmm. And I just, oh my gosh, what do you do? I felt a sinking feeling in my stomach that I haven't prepared, I don't know what I'm doing, and it's go time. It's go time.
Right. A lot of people don't really think about this. They don't prepare for the disaster. They're not sure what to do during the disaster, and they're not quite sure what to do if they have to evacuate their homes. I see this from the other side. I arrive on the fire engine, and we're busy dealing with the emergency at hand, and I see all the time people running in and out of their homes. They have their cars outside, and they're running back in. They're running back out with their television set, or they run back in. They're running back out with their Callaway golf clubs and throw them in the back of the car. You ask people, in 10 seconds, can you tell me what do you think is important to you if you had to leave your house and you're never going to see your home again? And a lot of people can't answer that question, and that's the wrong answer. They need to have the answers to that question, and that's why disaster preparedness is so important.
What would you say is the top, say, 3 things that you should prepare for disaster, for evacuation?
Okay. Number one, right off the top of the list, food and water. You should have at least 1 gallon per person per day for 72 hours. You have to think about operating for 72 hours without any support whatsoever. That's a good rule of thumb. It takes time for state and federal resources to come in and eventually build up the logistics to help support people that have been evacuated from their homes. But until then, you really have to fend for yourself. During a large disaster, Orange County Fire Authority, we're a large organization, but I can guarantee you, we're going to have our hands full. We're not going to have the time to go to every single call, and people are really going to be left to their own devices. So number one, water for at least 3 days, food for at least 3 days. Food that's in cans, food that's not perishable, food that's healthy. This is not the time to go get your Oreos and throw them into the car. Another thing you want to think about is things to open up the cans of food. People always put cans of food into a bag and they're, okay, I'm good to go. But they forget the can opener. Okay, always start to think about that. So that is the number one thing. Number 2, medications. A lot of people have life-saving medications, diabetics. You have people who need other kinds of medications for their cardiac or their heart. You have to have that medication in the bag and ready to go as well, because once you leave, you're probably not going to be able to get back into the neighborhood. And if you need these medications, I'm sorry, the local drugstore may not be open for you to get replacements. The third one is a way to communicate with people. Have extra batteries, have radios, have a cell phone with you, have a block charger. What block chargers are these bricks that actually can charge up cell phones, in addition to the regular cell phones. Our cell phones last, a day right now on a regular charge. But what these things can do, you can plug them in and it'll last for 2-3 days. You can keep it charged up if you don't have an outlet to plug it into. Because again, you have to think about the infrastructure of a city that's going to be absent in the time of a disaster. I was down in Katrina with California Task Force 5. It's an urban search and rescue national task force during Hurricane Katrina. The people down there were very surprised about how much into the 14th century things fell, because nothing worked. They figured that there would be some kind of infrastructure. Cell towers might work, some electricity might work. Nothing worked. So you got to be ready for that. So the 3 things again: number 1, food and water. 2nd, medications. 3rd, way to communicate or get information. Those are right off the top 3, right off the top of my head.
Well, that's wonderful information, and I hope that everybody got a pad of paper and wrote that down. So thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you, Larry, for
Thank
your
you
great
so much for having me
information.
in.
Absolutely.